Wow, Home Sweet Home Alone isn't just as bad as it looked in the trailer, but actually it's worse. It's odd that they would release this as part of Disney Plus Day, which is supposed to be a celebration of the service. Maybe they're hoping to bury it in all those announcements and added content. Because I would actually say this movie's unwatchable. You know, someday, hopefully, Disney, who now owns the Home Alone brand, and is a perfect fit with Disney. So it's crazy that they got this so wrong. The only thing I can think of is that the people who made this and greenlit it just simply aren't fans, don't get why anybody likes the classic Home Alone films, because it seems so obvious, the problems to me in this movie. No real spoilers here, in case you do want to watch it, by the way. But hopefully they'll do the obvious someday and convince Macaulay Culkin to return, maybe even Kieran Culkin too, who of course had a cameo in the first film and is now a big star on Succession. And we can get a nostalgia-style sequel to the original two Home Alone movies. Nostalgia is all the rage these days in Hollywood, with Kevin McAllister running some kind of security company. And that's hinted at here, with grown-up Buzz mentioning a McAllister home security system. And he mentions Kevin too, still the prankster apparently, which I thought was a nice touch. But thankfully, you know, at first I was like, maybe Culkin will show up and it will have been worth sitting through this. But I'm glad he doesn't show up. I thought he might show up even in an end credit scene. He's nowhere to be seen. Because not only would it be bad for Culkin to be associated with this, but it would give this movie, this awful movie, some level of credibility that it does not deserve. It would be the Home Alone movie where Kevin returned, and it's not worthy of that. That hint, though, at another story entirely is the best moment in this movie. A horribly misguided sequel, which somehow got SNL's Mikey Day, who I actually like on SNL quite a bit, but got Mikey Day and his co-writer, Streeter Seidel, on Variety's 2021 10 Screenwriters to Watch list. To watch out for, maybe? And really, all the problems here boil down to the script. It's entirely the script's fault, which means it was apparent, these issues, at the script stage. So that's even more mind-boggling that someone read the script and said, yeah, let's make this. First off, the movie decides to switch the focus to the criminals, who, get this, aren't actually criminals. Don't worry, you find that out right away. But in fact, a very nice couple who desperately want something very important back that little Max stole from them, making our two home invaders so sympathetic. It's not just an odd choice, but a bad one to make them so sympathetic, because it's then very hard to watch them get the shit beat out of them by this bratty kid for laughs. It was so hard to watch, I actually had to fast forward during the home invasion sequence because I felt so bad for Kemper and Delaney. I was like, man, this is horrible. The movie also really underscores the have-nots versus the haves, but not in a meaningful way. Oddly, odd is a very good description of this movie. More in a making fun of people's financial misfortune kind of way, which again, is like a really odd choice. Then, because so much time is spent on Rob Delaney and Ellie Kemper, Archie Yates is Max and Aisling B is his mother, and it's never explained why they're British living in America, they get totally sidelined, with moments from the original movie jarringly copied and pasted here and there within this film. The "I have to get home to my son for Christmas" speech is meaningless when dropped in out of nowhere after we've spent pretty much no time with mother and son. This seems like this movie is paying lip service to the original by doing the bare minimum possible, by the way, than it actually telling its own story and or building on the original films. The movie also has a very odd view of women, from making a joke about Kemper's sister-in-law tarting up Kemper's daughter with adult makeup and putting her in a dress that's way too revealing for the church pageant. Not to mention, they clearly had decided on a dress code for the pageant and everyone else did what they were supposed to. And that Max imagines the worst fate possible is having to spend time with women over 60. I mean, don't watch this with your grandma. It's going to hurt her feelings. There is an interesting bold choice, though, where Max, home alone, decides to cross-dress in Vogue in his mother's clothing. But it's done too quickly and just for laughs and then totally forgotten. And so what should have been a progressive moment actually is a little regressive if they're just going to make a joke out of it. I also really didn't need to see Kemper aggressively flirting with Officer Buzz to the point of almost suggesting they get a hotel room, which is wrong all in itself, but also her husband, to double down on it, is watching from the car nearby. Again, odd and crazy choices here. The truth is, Home Sweet Home Alone isn't actually about a little boy left home alone, but about it checks that box, but it's really about a down-on-their-luck couple who are in such a bad financial situation that they're driven to shocking acts of desperation to try and save their own family. And what's funny about that? But it's played for laughs, which again is really odd. Oh, and the product placement in this movie is insane. Example. You know how in the first movie, Kevin goes up to the attic that fateful night before the big trip, and that's what gets him left home alone? Well, here, Max escapes into the family BMW with the logo prominently on display in several shots. And one of the shots is he decides to watch TV in the back of the car. Look at this beautiful screen that's in the BMW. The logo comes up. But I thought, it was an interesting choice. They had him watch Roadrunner cartoons. Like at first I was like, that's not Disney. That's the competing company, Warner Brothers. But it was made sense because the original Home Alone kind of has, a rivalry set up like that with cartoon violence. So I thought that was interesting to say that maybe Max was inspired by his love of Looney Tunes cartoons, which are all very, surprisingly violent. But they never did anything with that. I mean, I wish they had maybe, bothered to develop that, because I thought that was an interesting addition. The movie does have some very nice set design, though, and some really nice Christmas decorations on display at Kemper and Delaney's home. Their couple, I felt so bad for them, as well as around town. I mean, they had some beautiful stuff around town. Once again, lovely Christmas environment. But with one exception, and that's the Mercer home, the main home. Although, again, not here is it the main home. They actually spend more time at Kemper and Delaney's house. But at the Mercer home, where Max is left alone, that's a beautiful house, gorgeous house, inside and out. But it's oddly cold. I mean, it has a couple of Christmas decorations here and there, but they're also very cold. And very little Christmas decor overall, which is so odd, because in the original movie, the McAllister home is famous for its Christmas-themed production design. So they didn't even realize they needed to keep that. Personally, again, as I said, I feel this movie is unwatchable and made by people and greenlit by people who not only aren't fans of the classic Home Alone film, but probably think it's a little stupid, and that they feel that this is an equivalent. They're like, what? It's just about some kid beating up some adults. And you're like, that's not what it's about at all. All right. And it just also underscores the brilliance of particularly the original film. All right, good luck. I know some of you are going to give this a whirl anyway. I quote Home Alone to this day all the time. I know many people do. And I will watch Home Alone again, as I do every year. And I will never see this again. I really would love to see another Home Alone someday. Would you like to see another Home Alone? I would really love to see Macaulay Culkin return. Even if it doesn't work out, I'd like them to try it. I would really love them to do that. And I worry that this is going to be such a failure that it will discourage Disney from continuing to try. And I don't know why nobody can do a good Home Alone sequel. I mean, it's so obvious what they should do. All right. Share your thoughts down below. If you do give this a whirl, share your thoughts down below about what your experience. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.